What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna make a quick little video here on my top 5 tips on how to wheelie. First, I got a new fresh set of gloves, wrap straps. They're pretty sweet. They should have been here Wednesday, but man didn't want to deliver for 3 days, so today's Saturday. It came then. And before I get into the tips, I want to say, if you're not already a part of the Grom Stunters Facebook groups, there's a couple of them. Grom Stunters itself is like the largest one and the most active. I would join that. There's a lot of useful tips, advice, a lot of redundant questions that people kind of get shit on, but nevertheless it's a great resource, I think, if you want to just know what parts to use, tips on certain tricks, anything related to Grom stuff. We can get into this video here. First tip is going to be PSI. I recommend 8 to 10. Anything lower is still okay. Do whatever's comfortable. If you still feel like you're moving side to side too much, drop it down. I wanted to, learn at 15, 20, because that's what a lot of people said, just to suck it up and do it that way. But do whatever is comfortable. Lower definitely takes away a lot of that side to side, so that's what I would recommend to start with. So the second tip is going to be body position, and more specifically body weight placement. You want to be basically sitting in the seat, so like all your weight should be centered on the bike in your ass. You'll end up going left or right based on wherever you put pressure on the foot pegs. So like when you're learning, and when I was learning, I would like put a lot of weight subconsciously on the right foot peg, like while I was covering the brake, and that would take me to the right all the time, and I could never understand why. I would clutch up and it would immediately go to the right. What am I doing wrong here that's going that way? And then I think I watched a video and somebody had mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely what I've been doing. So literally focus on keeping all your weight on your ass, keep that centered, and that'll help you keep from veering side to side. That's such a big component when learning. And then the next thing is the clutch up and foot brake drill that I recommended in my how to foot brake for 30 days video. It's literally just from a dead stop, clutch up, foot brake down, and just keep doing that and repeating that and repeating that and repeating that. And as you get more comfortable, you can get the bike higher and higher, and eventually you'll find where balance point is, and you'll get like right under it. You can kind of ride them out for a little bit, and by that way I kind of noticed that like that weightless balance point feeling slowly kind of disappeared as you worked your way up and we're sitting close to it. And like one day you'll just be in it and you'll be like, oh, this is balance point, and you'll never know. So basically the drill is, let me see if I can do it. I haven't done it that much. I would basically start dead stop like this, and that's it. I just repeat that. Clutch up and brake. And I just kept repeating that the length of the lot, and I'd work my way up higher and higher until I got the balance point. And that was how I learned foot brake that fast, because it became such a habit to actually use it when I got uncomfortable. The fourth tip is going to be throttle positioning. Nobody really talks about this, because when I clutch up, I go clutch in. Basically, I open it all the way and almost immediately pop the clutch, and that's kind of like the sweet spot of where it is. But after you pop it, what do you do? What do you do after that? Nobody ever tells you that. And basically, there's a sweet spot for the throttle, and it's like just a sliver open, maybe an eighth of a turn, quarter of a turn, depending on what kind of tube you have in. But literally, you'll go clutch in, full pop, and you roll off, and you don't close it, because if you close it, especially on this, it's going to just drop right away. You'll never be able to keep it up. clutch is in. Just imagine I go full throttle, and then when I roll off, I'm like right there. Like, it's such a minuscule amount. Like, pay attention to the throttle hand right here. Full pop. My wrist is basically kind of flat. I'll coast. You see how it was? See how it barely moved when I had to close it? You're just leaving it open the tiny amount, and that's what'll keep the wheelie up. And if it's dropping down, you're gonna have to add a little more gas. But like when you're at balance point, nobody really talks about how much throttle application. It's just cracked open a tiny bit, and that's usually what keeps it there. And if you go too far back, brake, and then if you're going forward, you got to give it a smooth application of throttle, just a little more. And when it's there, you know, tap brake, and then kind of roll off back to that sweet spot. And the final tip I'm going to give is, I guess it's a couple tips, but when you go to the lot, have a plan. Tell yourself, you know, I want to get this, and make it reasonable. You know, I want to have 5 good clutch ups when you're learning that drill. Do that, and you know, once you get that, then go home happy. That's like the biggest thing. You want to leave on a good note, so you're like excited and motivated to come back and continue. Because if you get frustrated and get pissed off, you're gonna be like, I don't want to come back anymore, fuck this. Like, you'll just get angry about it, and the last thing that's in your head when you're trying to remember what you're doing is just being pissed off. And I don't know, when you're pissed off, I guess it's hard to want to like go back and do that thing that made you mad. But have the plan, you know, tell yourself, I want to accomplish this. And if you can't get that, I always like to leave trying something new, or attempting something new. And that's usually like how I leave motivated, is like, okay, I attempted this, I can come back and I can keep working on it. I know I got over that initial fear. Those are my 5 tips. Here, I'll recap with the PSI, body weight placement, clutch up and foot brake drill, throttle position or throttle sweet spot, and then having a plan and being motivated. Those are my 5 most useful tips I could give.
Hottest stash in the carpet. Yeah, we trapping out